get a lot
I
of
looked
updates.
for it in a while. I've been watching YouTube.
Human Performance Outliers podcast is Dr. Baker and Zach Bitter, who's he ran 100 miles at a 7-minute pace for the whole.
Yeah.
And he's probably 95% carnivore.
Yeah, that dude's impressive.
He's like
That's
sick runner.
Yeah, I would say.
His training is really he does a lot of interesting.
He lives in Arizona. Yeah, it's him and Dr. Baker.
What about you, Megan? Any podcasts you dig?
I don't listen to any podcasts. I'm sorry.
This is gonna be really eye-opening for you.
Yeah.
How about the Rizzuto show? Am I the only one listening to that?
No, I listen every morning.
That's
my whole
awesome.
entire company does. I work for.
Yeah.
Yep.
My best
Jam.
friend listens to it every morning. I give her so much crap about it. I've tried. I just can't get into it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the chemistry between those four guys
Yeah,
is
it's good.
awesome.
I'll be
Like, you
giving
take
it a
any
shot.
one of those guys out, it's not the same show.
Yeah.
They're like those times where Rizzuto goes on vacation and like Moon leads it. It's just
Yeah, I
not
don't
the
like
same.
it. I mean, I do, but it's not. Yeah, it's not the same.
It's just not the same.
She goes to like their live shows and all that jazz. She's a
Yeah.
big fan.
Yeah, I mean they're awesome. I love those guys.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like great resources that we can all learn from, and what I love about these nutrition conversations is that we can all learn from each other too. There's always like neat insights and things, and having coached nutrition for as many years as I have now, there's a lot of things I've really come to believe, and I think that are just generally and universally true for folks. But I'm also I am pretty adamant about not getting caught up in my own dogma. That I think that anybody who's going to be like truly great needs to be willing to evolve and change and learn and adapt. And that means that you have to be willing to constantly question what you learn as you go along. So I'll share with you guys some of the stuff that I think really makes a huge difference for everybody, regardless of whether they're on the carnivore diet, keto diet, paleo diet, Whole30 diet. And toward that end, I'm kind of curious to know if you guys can help me just name some diets.
Oh Lord.
Here we go.
There's Banting, Keto, PIP, PIO, PPI,
PIO, yeah. I think I should.
Carnivore,
I don't really eat one of those. Carnivore.
Paleo.
Yeah, Whole30.
Get real crazy. Go with vegan.
Yeah, vegan. I actually, last year, I did what we call the Vegetarian CrossFitter Project, and I tried being a vegetarian CrossFitter for 30 days, and did a whole video series on it. I can share that with you guys if that's of interest to you.
I was vegan for 12 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
Never again.
Was it hard?
It was not hard until I started getting really sick.
How much supplementation did you have to do?
Not much, really. Just general, honestly, I did probiotics. I did a vegan omega, a little hemp protein, but nothing too crazy.
gotcha.
A little B12.
Vegan was one for sure. Vegetarian. And the punchline, by the way, it's important to note that when I started the Vegetarian CrossFitter Project, I'd already been eating clean for a very, very long time. So it wasn't like it was. I was still eating clean here. It's different. Performance definitely dropped.
Yeah.
Like my opinion is that this is not a CrossFit performance diet, but it is also my opinion that if your diet is kind of a mess, if you go and do this, that will be a performance improving diet for you. You know what I mean? Because then it's an improvement, right? So I saw performance drop. I was definitely less strong. I lost about 10% strength on that, and stamina too. And that was actually rough.
Were
psychologically.
you miserable?
What's that?
Were you miserable?
No, I still felt really good. My energy levels were still really, really good. But JJ will tell you that my affect was different in workouts because it was psychologically taxing to be I committed to 30 days. I was like, no matter what happens, I'm doing this for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I could see my performance in the gym was just slipping. You know what I mean? And 2 weeks in, it's very clear this is not helping me to perform how I want to perform with my workouts. At that point, it was tough because I committed to 4 weeks. I was going to stay the course. I was going to see it through, but it was just getting slower in workouts was really is a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I knew I had the opportunity. This is something I can control, right? I could switch anytime I wanted to. But I finished out with 30 days. What was neat was that on that, like, I had initially, like, performance dropped initially, but then right toward the end it started to tick up again. And I have this theory that any diet that you go on at first is going to suck at first, because there's that window, that adaptation phase, right? Like, if you've been eating this for a while, for example, and then you switch and you do this, your body gets good at metabolizing the foods that are on this plan. It gets good at using these energy sources. And when you first switch over to this, your body is not immediately efficient at metabolizing those things. This is like rock solid. You'll see it over and over and over again. Thousands and thousands of people and case studies and that. When you switch from one nutrition plan to the other, the first like 15 days or so are very rocky, because you feel more tired, you get cranky, you don't have anywhere near the energy levels you had before, just because your body is still adapting to these energy sources. And I find it, for most people, it takes about 15 days before they adapt to new energy sources. And so if you're moving from mostly meats to like a very heavy, like, plant-based diet, it'll be a couple of weeks before your body gets good at that. So for me, what happened was I saw energy drop and then kind of level a little bit through the middle, and then it started to tick up right at the end. So if I actually gone like 60 or 90 days, if I had a more interesting experiment to see actually how far that actually went, you know what I mean? If it still kept rising. But in that 30-day sample, I'd say that was definitely not a CrossFitter diet. What else can we name here? Go ahead, Pedro.
Now, when you went on your vegan or vegetarian experiment, did you do blood work previous and
I did.
after?
I didn't do it after. I did blood work before, so I knew exactly what my blood profile was. And then another Tim Ferriss quote is that if you like get an oil change, or you get your engine checked more than you get your blood work done, you got your priorities all screwed up. And that's a great quote. The trouble with doing blood work is that it's pricey everywhere. You know, like hundreds of dollars to get the free testosterone, the like the T3, T4, thyroxine. Like, you actually get a fairly thorough panel. The price is up there.
Did you check your cholesterol and all that kind of stuff too? Or no?
I don't think I did. No, didn't check that to start. That would have been interesting to know.
Triglycerides, all that
Yeah.
C-reactive protein and all that.
Yep. If I had to guess, I would guess that I was flying with less testosterone as a vegetarian than I am on a mostly paleo.
And going into that, you were already pretty metabolically flexible, I would presume, because you were
Yeah, I
already
think so.
pretty ripped, so you were.
Yeah, I mean, I've been eating
quite
for a
obviously
very long
you're
time.
metabolically flexible. So.
Yeah. What other diets we got here, guys? What else do I have?
You got Zone.
Zone. That's the standard CrossFitter diet. You'll learn
Sad.
about that level 1. What's that?
SAD,
Is that?
standard American diet.
I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
No, SAD, SAD.
Oh.
That's what everyone calls it. On
Yeah.
Like that's eating crap.
Okay. The sad diet. I get it. Okay.
Paleo.
Paleo. What else? Beachbody.
The best name diet ever.
Yeah. Best name diet ever. What else? Can we count intermittent fasting as a diet, or is it more like a strategy?
I would say strategy, because you can do that pretty much on any diet.
It's a
A lot of folks
strategy, but
tie in with this.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting. Some folks don't. I have some folks that are doing Whole30 intermittent fasting in my nutrition challenge right now.
Yeah.
What else do we have? South Beach diet.
Good old Atkins diet.
Yeah, Atkins.
Macrobiotic.
Weight Watchers. What was that, Sean?
Macrobiotic.
Macrobiotic. Okay. All right. So, I'm sorry for the handwriting, guys. Here, so you get the idea, right? Now, any of you guys know somebody that's gotten really great results on Whole30? Yeah. Anybody know someone who's got really great results on Weight Watchers?
I don't know that I know anyone that's ever done Weight Watchers.
We got people here doing Weight Watchers, actually. Yeah. Keto diet. Know anybody's gotten great results on that? For sure, right? So sometimes the way I feel it is like this. Like if you wanted to take a vacation to California, how could you get to California from here? Like how could you get to California?
Drive, fly.
You drive, you fly.
Ride a bike if
You ride a bike if you wanted to. And depending on your style, depending on what's enjoyable to you, a lot of those are great options, right? Some people would really like to ride a bike to California. That'd be like a great adventure for them. Other people would be like, that would be slow, painful, miserable. I just want to get there as fast as possible. Some people are like, I want to fly to California, and I don't care if I have to deal with the TSA and getting patted down, strip searched, deal with lines and hostile crowds, and I'm claustrophobic and I hate the airplane. But I'd be like, but I want to get to California faster. What's the faster way? The faster way is to fly, right? So you look at this in much a similar way. If you want to get to a certain body type, or you want to perform a certain way, a lot of these would work really, really well to get you there. It's not saying there's only one way, right? We know people that do really well with this, people who do really well with this, people who, okay, nobody does well with this at all. No one's doing well with that at all. But Zone Diet is the standard. Like it was the original CrossFit diet, and you'll still be learning about that in the Level 1 seminar. But a lot of these work just fine as long as it's something that you can commit to and stay with for enough time. Does that make sense? This, one of the points of this talk is not that there's only one way. There's a lot of ways. But it might be that there's one or two ways that work really well for Pedro, and one or two ways work really well for Sean. Like, you've had some success, Pedro. Would you tell us a little bit about your protocol presently?
95% carnivore, 5% keto.
With intermittent fasting, right?
Well, it's built in because once I eat, I'm pretty not hungry for a long time.
So it'll last you, right? You have this satiety that comes with high fat, moderate protein,
A lot of steak.
low carb.
Eggs.
Yeah, can last you a while, right? What about you, Sean? What's worked for you?
I was strictly keto for 6 months. I just started adding carbs back in last month. And it
Cool.
seems to be working pretty well.
Right on. What about you, Megan?
Beachbody worked really well for me. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I actually eat a lot.
There.
A lot of protein. Not really worried what it is, but a lot of protein.
Maybe that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an opportunity there. Unlock some
Probably
potential.
is, yeah.
So a lot of us have, we can look to our past, and one of the people that's most greatly influenced my life is Andy Stanley, the pastor of North Point Community Church. And the way that he says that, based on your past experience, your present circumstances, your future hopes and dreams, what's the wise thing to do, right? And for most of us, we can look to the past, we can identify things that we know have worked for us and things that have not worked for us. And it allows us to kind of design a game plan for the future depending on what we're looking to do. I mean, why do you nutrition, Pedro? Why do you why do clean eating at all? What is it for you?
Well, I was telling you before, I saw a video. Well, let's go back to the beginning. When we first started this, I remember you gave those first tenets of CrossFit, and one of them was you can't outrun a bad diet.
Hell yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, whatever. Well, I'm the one who tried to outrun it. And I came across a video on insulin resistance, and that was like my light bulb moment. And then I just remember you said you can't outrun a bad diet, and I've seen at least 100 lectures by medical doctors that say the same thing, and you just internalize it that you can't. Like, I'm 46 years old and I want to stay on this planet a long time. I don't want to be the one to die of a heart attack at 65. So
right. For
me, that's what I do to stay alive. So
I gotcha.
I mean, I would love to go out and eat a big, huge pizza and all that junk, but as it is now, I've been eating right. I've been eating right so long.
That's after this lecture is done.
My treat is a big fat ribeye steak. That's what I want.
That's awesome, man. What about you, Sean? Why do you do nutrition?
Big driving force for me was arthritis. Just achy joints all the time and feeling like garbage. And then, obviously, if you eat garbage, you're gonna feel like garbage. So,
Do you find
once I
that
made
nutrition helps you feel better?
yeah, for sure.
Less
I mean, it
inflamed in
helps.
the joints?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, my knees, hips, shoulders, all of my like arthritic joints feel much better.
Cool, man. I
mean,
love
it
seeing
still
those.
sucks in the morning, but you know,
Sure.
it's gonna happen.
What about you, Megan? Why do you nutrition?
I'm a mom. I gotta chase a 2.5-year-old around, and I need energy, and I
Sure.
just need to feel like I can get up at any time of night.
Right. You need to have
Um,
crazy energy levels.
Yes,
And
yes.
stamina.
Yeah. So that's really why I never really had an issue until I got a little bit older, and metabolism is not
Along
what it
the
used to
lines
be.
of-
You think that things changed and realize that, okay, now I can't get away with what I got away with in the past.
Exactly. So I have to work for it, and it's a struggle every day, so.
Sure.
But yeah.
No doubt. I know that, too, like, if you are a parent, like, your kids, whether they'll admit it or not, are going to look to you, and what you do is going to be considered their normal, right? So if you eat a certain way, that will be what they look at as normal, and you're literally setting them up for either success or failure. Like, are they going to have to spend their entire life unlearning bad habits, or are they going to spend their entire life with good habits? Like, Megan has the power to choose that. That's a big thing for me. You guys, like I mentioned already, that like I have a really hard time with the idea that I would ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself. So, if somebody else is on a nutrition challenge with me, I'm eating super clean also.
Excuse
Then
me.
I also got little Zai, and he's going to be modeling me when he gets older. Even if he doesn't like eat exactly the same as me now, it's going to create a framework for him. Like, how does a man eat to look a certain way, perform a certain way? And it matters a lot. So I'm doing it for him too. What about you, Derek? Why do you nutrition?
Well, I used to eat whatever because of powerlifting.
Right.
The more you intake, the heavier you lift.
Sure.
But I mean, I eat clean. I eat a lot of protein, high protein stuff, fish, eggs, a lot of meat, but probably not as
That all
as I
helps.
should be. Yeah.
No doubt. So, like, we all, what I find is kind of neat with our CrossFit world here is that people don't typically find their way into CrossFit world being completely clueless about nutrition. Folks are typically well educated and knowledgeable about clean eating when they get here. It doesn't necessarily mean that we actually do what we know or take action on what we know, but people typically have a pretty good idea of what their downfalls are. Like, I know my downfalls
I
are.
didn't.
Was that?
I didn't.
Now you do. I know that my downfalls are yellow cake with chocolate frosting, fudge, and donuts. And I don't even know why donuts.
That's funny. That's like the worst possible thing you could do in
Right.
the world.
I don't know what
Coming
it
from
is.
you, that's hilarious.
I don't know what it is, man. Like, I just, there's nothing that I crave more than donuts, and I can't make heads or tails out of it.
Like some hot Krispy
That's
Kremes
because
or
they're
whatever.
good.
What's that?
Cream filled donuts,
They're
chocolate milk.
fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a story that I tell quite a bit, and that's that my wife's granny, may she rest in peace, she recently passed on, but she was like the go-to person in my wife's family for like she was kind of arthritic, and so it wasn't easy for her to get out and go places. So if there was a family event, if there was a holiday, a birthday, everybody in Caroline's family was going to Granny's house, and Granny, her style was she just loved to make food for people. She'd make ridiculous mass quantities, like way more than anybody could reasonably eat, right? And then when you were leaving, after the event was done, she would try and give you bowls and pans and bowls and pans of more food. You guys probably know some people like this, right? And it's, there's no filter there, because she's from the real old school. She was in her 80s when she probably passed on. Everything was butter and sugar and butter and sugar and butter and sugar. There was no filter there because she didn't think in terms of, is this a healthy choice or is it not? She was thinking in terms of, what would Sean enjoy? I'm going to make what Sean enjoys because that's how she expresses love, right? That's just her style. And she knew that I loved fudge. So she would make like an entire pan of fudge. Like, not just like, not a little bit of fudge. We're talking like one of these suckers full of fudge. An entire pan of fudge just for me. And we'd go over there and we'd have our family event and we'd have dinner or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna have 3 pieces of the fudge. She made it for me. It was awesome for her to do that. So I have the one piece, and then the next piece, and then the next piece, and then the next piece. And then next thing I knew, like, I was laid out on the couch with like a wet rag on my forehead in a complete food coma, thinking to myself, wow, I feel awful right now. Because it's like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Like, he would just like completely destroy me. You know what I mean? They'd lay me out. I'd be literally sick for like 30 minutes. And then just swearing up and down the whole time, I'm never going to touch fudge again. Like, that is it. Like, I've learned my lesson this time. But after a while, that food coma starts to pass, and I start to feel better, I start to sit upright again, and I start to eye the pan again. Because she made the whole thing for me, and it really just seems like it'd be a waste for us just to throw it all away. And I already blew my diet, so I may as well just have some more. So I do things, I go back and I like one more, and then one more, and then one more, and the next thing I know, I'm in a food coma all over again. It's like, how does this happen twice in the same afternoon? And that, for me, it gave me a great appreciation for what like food addiction is really like. I can understand now for like an alcoholic why they can't go to the bar, because it's just a bad situation waiting to happen, right?
I'd rather be on heroin than sugar.
Yeah, because like, legitimately, like, you watch the brain scans, right? Like, sugar is actually more addictive than heroin. And part of the problem is that we have to have food. We can avoid heroin. We don't have to have heroin, but the food drug, and make no mistake, it is absolutely a drug. It is absolutely a drug. Because the very nature of a drug is it's something that changes your physiology. Food changes your physiology, and that's why for so many people they self-medicate with food. A drug. The term medicate implies drug, right? They self-medicate with food because it's a very quick way to feel better about anything really fast, right? But then for a lot of the food drug, like with me and the fudge, like there's this immediate like boomerang, like you get these terrible consequences like really quick. And I realized like, hey, this for me is a problem, and I just have to stay away from it. So in the later years, I would just request that Granny make something different than that for me. I'm not telling her, hey, I'm trying to be healthy or whatever, because again, that's not a filter that she uses. Say, hey, instead of this, could I have this instead? Something else that is not a domino food for me. And I find that most folks have some variation of this. It may not be fudge. For some people, like I ask this question in every nutrition consultation that I do, is like, what is it for you? I'm hearing like the onion chips and dip. I hear that a lot lately. I'm not sure what it is with that, but onion chips and dip comes up an awful lot in those conversations. Pedro, what is it for you? Like, what food really just trips you up? Or like, what's the domino food, or like the one thing that really just...
Now?
Yeah, and make it something, it's like would totally screw it up for you.
You could put every garbage in front of me right now, I'd still want to stay.
Yeah? Well, that's good, man. That's quite a transformation. There's no cheat foods you would find difficult?
My favorite food growing up has been steak. So, for me, I eat like a king.
That's awesome, man.
I don't care. Like, you could throw pizza, whatever. Yeah, I would like the piece, but I know that, with my insulin sensitivity, I just can't have it. So,
sure.
I don't feel like I'm cheating myself by having a steak.
That's awesome, man. And actually, the way you put
and
that
more along the lines of when you were talking about the fudge, I don't know, like, what I've learned is you can only have about a teaspoon of blood sugar in your body at one given time. So any added sugar, your body has to convert into triglycerides, which means it has to have an insulin spike to do that. which then means your body senses, like, that's why you want to eat all that fudge, because you're not getting any nutrients out. There's no
Right.
nutrients in it, which
Correct.
makes you want to eat more and more. That's like when you eat Chinese food, you eat it and you just keep eating it. You know?
Right. So you brought up like just 3 like really interesting points related to what you're saying there. The first is you reference how you eat like a king. I love that because one of our great success stories, Don Yaxtis, he went from 250 pounds and every poor lifestyle choice. He went from that to having a 6-pack with us here. The way that he described it was like when you really get your clean eating dialed in, you feel like you're eating like a king because you're never lacking. You're not hungry.
Oh, no.
You don't feel deprived. Like great foods. And this is the second thing. Healthy eating should be enjoyed, not endured. Right? Like if you're doing healthy eating well, you won't walk around feeling like you're deprived. You won't walk around feeling like you're missing out because healthy eating feels really, really good.
It's a switch that the switch hits you, and once you burn fat for energy and you get that clean,
Oh yeah.
you never crash during the day. You know, like
Yeah.
some people at 2 p.m. are at work and they're just dying, and you're just like
Right.
going.
You feel
you
good.
know.
Yeah.
Once you hit that, you don't
Yeah.
ever want to go back.
Totally. What is it for you, Sean? Is there any? What is your pan of fudge?
It's Halo Top ice cream.
Is that right?
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
That is good.
Like not even any other ice cream.
That-
Would've
I got
just
3 in my
one.
freezer, dude.
Yep.
Like what flavor?
Cookie dough, all
All
the
of
way.
them.
Oh,
I don't
s'more.
discriminate for it. I didn't
S'more all
They say
day.
it's a healthy ice cream, so I'm gonna believe it when they eat it.
That's all I hear. They said the magic words.
So-
Their
More
marketing
protein on
team
it.
is.
If it comes in a package and has a label, it's not.
Oh yeah.
That's a good point.
They have good marketers.
Put protein real big on
For
the
sure.
lid, so like protein.
Yeah.
All about it.
That's the thing, like that. Gosh, man, like I'm amazed how quickly people will buy into the idea that if it has protein in it, it must be healthy.
100%.
Well, they also have like the calories per pint on the like the very
It's
front.
like 240.
Yeah, it's only like 200 calories per
Yeah.
pint or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
it
doing,
is.
So you
like,
can
their
eat
marketing
the
team's
whole
really
thing.
good.
Very clever, right?
Calories is the biggest crime ever committed on the public.
What
as
is?
far as calories.
Oh yeah. Like
But
low
it's
calorie
nothing.
thing. Like if it's low calorie, it must be healthy.
Yeah, it's like
Zero
your body's
sugar.
not a calorie.
Zero sugar.
That's the worst.
You're like low calorie and 0 sugar. Like think like chemical shitstorm.
Yeah.
Sure.
No fat, low fat.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
fat, low fat, low calorie.
That's another crime.
Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh.
Then they just came out with like a coconut milk ice cream tail topped it, and
Is that right?
it's really good.
I believe that.
How
Yeah,
many
so-
carbs?
I don't
Not a good amount, or I guess too good of an amount, depending on how you look at it.
Sure. What is it for you, Megan?
Normally it's chocolate cake, like any chocolate cake. In the last few weeks, I gave up beef at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
All I want is cheeseburgers. The last few weeks.
That's not when you started CrossFit.
Yeah.
Is that
It
with
is.
the bun or without
She
the bun?
She needs the meat.
I did.
CrossFit has set in.
Is that with or
Welcome
without
to Steak
bun?
World.
With what? Sorry.
With or without bun?
Oh, well, I need the bun. I mean, I don't need it, but if I'm hauling off on a
I love
burger, I want a
cheeseburgers.
bun.
I'll eat those,
Sure.
too.
What is it for you, Derek?
Oh boy. Probably fried pickles.
Fried pickles?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
good call.
I probably will never pass those up. Ever. I can't. I don't
There's-
think I can.
There's something to that, a combination of like the savory and the salty for a lot of
Yeah.
folks. Or like savory and sweet. Apparently that's part of the like the onion chips and dip thing that's I hear about so often is like people like that combination of salty and sweet or savory and sweet. Everybody has their thing, right? For some folks it's more the sweet thing, some folks like the saltier, like a pickle. Everybody has their thing. And it's sort of like how an alcoholic needs to steer clear of the bar. I need to steer clear of fudge. It's something that for me is a reality for me, right? Like if I'm in the presence of this thing, it's gonna screw me up. It's gonna, I can't say no to this, and Derek can't say no to fried pickles. So like in knowing yourself in that wisdom, like Andy Stanley said, we look to the past. You say, based on my past experience, my present circumstances, my future hopes and dreams, how I want to look, how I want to feel, how I want to perform. Is it wise for me to be in the presence of fudge? And it's not. For me, I have to stay away from it. it's a bomb waiting to go off, right? And I don't look at food like there's bad foods and good foods because, for the petite high school wrestler, they need to eat those cheeseburgers. They need to have the bun in order to add more size faster, right? But if your goal is to get bigger faster, eating is one thing, like when Derek was saying, right? For the power lifter, the bun, hamburger, with cheese, that is a goal-achieving diet, right? However, if you're wanting to cut more body fat faster, all of that stuff only hurts the cause. It only slows you down. And the thing is that you won't know how much it affects you until you take it out of the picture. Like when folks do nutrition challenges, for most folks, they want to cut body fat. They want to lean out. They want to see more muscle definition, right? And dairy, for those folks, does not help. It doesn't help with that. So we have folks give up the dairy, and what they're is a lot of times, they don't even realize how it was affecting them until I take it out of the picture. And they realize, holy crap, after 2 weeks of that, I didn't feel bloated anymore. I didn't have that 2 p.m. crash anymore. My energy levels were better throughout the day. I start to see visible muscle showing through in my arms, my abs, my legs, whatever it was, right? It could be that just like one little shift, like taking dairy out, taking grains out, the foods that add more weight than they take away, that one little shift might be the thing for you. Now, for some folks, we probably all know that, some guy that's like pretty lean and can kind of eat whatever. Some folks can get away with whatever. But Pedro, can you get away with whatever? Me
A lot of those people still have diabetes, they just don't realize it.
Right.
Nobody ever gets their fasting insulin measured, they only get their HbA1c. And you can have a normal HbA1c with an elevated insulin and you are diabetic, but they just don't realize it.
Sure. Who were we talking to earlier? Talking to somebody today that they went out, I think it was like a Netflix series or something.
Oh, they just had a new one come out, The Magic Pill.
That's the one. That was the one. We were talking about that this morning. They went into like an Aborigine culture and
the Maasai, the Inuit,
whatever it was, they like completely distanced from the traditional Western diet that we have here, and like Coca-Cola showed up, started introducing soda, and so that's a really interesting part of this series where they ask you like, how did your grandfather die? How did your grandfather die? How did your grandfather die? And it was like, old age, old age, old age. How did your dad die? How did your dad die? How did your dad die? Diabetes, heart attack, diabetes, heart attack. And you know what the difference was? What they were eating, the diet, right? Most of us cannot get away with doing whatever, right? How much does grain affect you? You don't know until you phase that out. It might be that just like that one thing for me, this screws me up. I have to stay away from that one thing, right? Everybody has that one thing. When we start a nutrition challenge, I always try and identify for folks right off the bat, is there anything that's tripping you up? If there's like that one domino food that really screws it all up for you, I call it like eliminating poison, right? It's a little bit dramatic with the phraseology here. I know it's a little bit dramatic, but if you have an addiction, and like I said, if food is a drug, a lot of folks could be seriously addicted to things and not even realize it. Is this true? I guess probably this to be true. Especially given that the reward centers of the brain are lit up more by sugar than they are by cocaine. That it's very, very, very easy for anybody, including like regular folks like us, to become addicted to something and then have that poison sabotage us over and over and over and over again. Do you guys ever have any evening like this where you plan to go out with your friends and you plan to just have one drink and it becomes 5 drinks? And then it becomes like, we're out late, the only thing open is IHOP. So you go to IHOP and you eat there, and then you wake up the next morning and you feel like hell, but you already blew your diet, so it's like, whatever. And you eat whatever.
Order pizza.
You order pizza, have like whatever you want the next day. Does this sound familiar? okay, it's a human thing, right? Everybody is fallible. Everybody can get tripped up. Coming on board, like a great starting point is distancing ourselves from temptation. And put it this way, how many times can you shoot yourself in the foot before you can't walk? Anybody know?
Once.
You don't sound sure.
Once.
There's a lot of variables there.
It depends on a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Here's the punchline, right? How many times can you shoot yourself in the foot before you can't walk? I don't know. You don't know. But a wise man doesn't try to find out either. You know what I mean? I can't have fudge around me. It trips me up. And whatever it is for you guys, if you can design your home environment, like if you have control over what foods are there, what foods are not there, I can't have fudge in my household. It's a problem waiting to happen, right? Probably gonna make it easier for Sean to succeed without having what in the fridge? Halo Top. Not hate on Halo Top. It's great stuff. But it's easier to stay on plan if Halo Top is at a farther distance. Do you know what I'm saying? Thoughts on that, Megan?
Yeah, just throw stuff out. Like, we'll have family come, and when they leave, there's so much food, and we just
for
throw
sure.
it out, because otherwise I'll eat it.
Yeah, that's how it was with Granny, too. 'Cause she would just, like, I'd have the fudge, and she's like, here's the pan, take it with you. What about you, Derek? Do you have any things at your home that are maybe tripping you up?
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk?
Yeah.
Holder from the bodybuilding days?
Yeah. That's about it, really. Try to keep a lot of eggs and fish in my fridge.
That's
Freezer.
great.
When I get hungry, it's the only option.
Sure. What about for you, Megan? Any things at your home that be tripping you up?
Oh, gosh. Well, all the, like, toddler food, like goldfish and
Oh,
Teddy
yeah.
Grahams and...
Teddy Grahams. Oh, I
Yeah.
love those growing up.
They're good, and they're
stuff.
dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So, toddler food, and
Sure.
he won't eat a PB&J, and then it's just sitting there looking
Why
at
throw it
you.
away?
Yeah, you already
Yeah,
made it, so.
Sure.
Do you know in the olden days, PB&J was considered a rich person's food,
I can
Really?
do that.
and lobster was a poor person's food?
Is that right?
Wow,
Yeah,
times
I knew the
changed.
lobster
Yeah, times have changed.
Because it's so hard to eat.
I
I think it was
I
just because it was
thought
so
that was
readily
crazy,
available,
yeah.
like just go lobster fishing or whatever.
You know, it's kind of a neat side note about peanut butter is that it's often a great resource for folks that are trying to provide food to areas that don't have much food, because peanut butter has protein and fat and carbohydrate. It's very it's very dense, calorically dense, so you get a lot of calories for a very small amount of it. It requires no refrigeration, so you don't have to have a fridge to keep it there. So if you give somebody a jar of peanut butter, they can survive for a long time on said peanut butter.
There's peanut butter, and then there's peanut butter, though.
That's true, because they're not all the same. If you've ever had peanut butter with no sugar, it is not the same thing. It is not the same
Vegetable
thing.
oil peanut butter. If
Yeah.
you look at like Jif, that's probably all vegetable oil, and
Yeah.
that's poison.
And the sugar of it too is the bigger concern, right? So yeah, I always say, like, if there is some food addiction present, then getting as far away from that is your biggest and your best first step, right? Some people have some sort of food addiction, and unless they create safe space and distance between them and that thing, they will struggle for their entire lives. Like, if you have an addiction to like chocolate and you keep it in your house, it's gonna trip you up over and over and over again. It'll be a lifetime cycle, a vicious cycle that will never ever end. This is always where we start. If you use cigarettes, for example, as a meal replacement, that's a real problem. The thing with like addiction to anything, whether it be nicotine or sugar, is that all of us were getting something from it, right? Something that I didn't understand when I was in high school, and something that might be interesting to a lot of you guys, is that almost all of my friends in high school were smokers. Almost all of them. And what's kind of neat about that is that you can become neurologically anchored to anything for pleasure. So for example, when I smell cigarette smoke now, I feel better immediately because I associate that smell with hanging out with my friends and having a good time. Is that crazy? A lot of times, Caroline was a smoker when I met her. A lot of folks don't know that about Caroline. Now, I never like tried to talk her out of it, right? But so it's like something I didn't understand in high school was my friends used cigarettes as a weight management tool because they would smoke instead of eating, right? As long as that was there, they were never going to have health. You're never going to have health. Does it work to keep weight down? Yes. Does it work to make you healthy? Hell no, right? So, one of the things that's so difficult about transitioning into a healthier lifestyle is that for a lot of us, the pan of fudge is associated with good times and having great experiences, right? Like the only time I'm in the presence of fudge is at a party or a holiday where I'm hanging out with family, we're having a good time, and it's connected. Like the very presence of that food makes you feel good, right? And how cool would it be if we could all become neurologically anchored to having positive feeling, positive sensation like Pedro does? He's around his steak, he immediately feels good, he's eating like a king, right? Healthy eating should be enjoyed, not endured. You guys agree? For sure. Any thoughts on that? Rock and roll. So, once we've done this, I always love this to be our next step. And, again, the phraseology is a little weird. I call it achieving quality, but you can put it another way. It's choosing foods that for you help you get to where you want to go, that help you get to your goal, and that you enjoy. So the very nature of a balanced, let's do breakfast first. The very nature of a balanced diet to me is having protein, carbohydrate, and dietary fat at any given meal, right? So if you look at breakfast, want to have some protein, some carbohydrate, and what kind of carbohydrate is the absolute best choice? Category. Low GI. Sure. What's that?
Complex carbohydrates.
How else? What other words could we use to describe these? You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Starts with a V. There's fruits and then there's vegetables. Absolute best choice for carbohydrates, vegetables. In terms of low GI, what did you call it, Sean?
Low GI.
Low GI, what did you call it, Pedro?
Complex.
Complex carbohydrates, for sure, versus simpler ones. This right here gives us the great energy we need, but lasting energy too. It's not like a quick energy source that doesn't burn out super fast and disappear from the system. So carbohydrates are with vegetables, and then what's the missing piece here? Dietary fat. So we're gonna work together here and design a sample meal plan. Assuming we've done this, now let's choose foods that we love that would help us get to our goals. We're designing a meal plan that we would enjoy. So, Pedro, for breakfast, what's a protein that you would love to have to help you get to your goals?
If I ate breakfast, it'd be eggs and bacon.
Eggs. Intermittent fasting kind of takes that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Eggs. I love eggs. Any other fans of eggs here? Hell yes, right? Really? No?
Oh, I struggle with them.
Oh, man. What do you mean struggle with them?
It's the smell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind it is. Hard boiled, doesn't matter.
The easiest
Cook
is
'em in
over
bacon
medium. I could do over medium, but like scrambled.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I
Did you have
wish
a bad
I
experience
did.
with them at some
I
point?
must have at some point, but I can't remember.
I feel like this
you
is
know.
a childhood trauma kind
Yeah,
of
because
thing.
it
Definitely
is like
sounds
the
like it.
smell of it. All of a sudden, you're like.
So, it's an interesting thing, right? A good friend of mine from the gym here, Jimmy Allmeter, who's also one of our great success stories. You might have seen him at Supplement Superstores. He's got the life-size cutout, the before and afters. He's that guy. He won the $10,000 transformation challenge. Jimmy's awesome, and you guys will all meet him at some point. He does CrossFit really, really well. He also cannot stand eggs, but he can pinpoint it to a point in his life where he had like a bad batch of eggs. I totally get this, because for me, it was fortune cookies.
Oh.
I loved fortune cookies growing up. I loved them. They were awesome. And I can remember the exact day. We brought home some Chinese food, and it was a fortune cookie, and I ate it, and I knew immediately it didn't taste right. Something was wrong with this particular fortune cookie. And then minutes later, I was throwing up.
You know,
I was
fortune
vomiting.
cookies have eggs in them.
What's that?
Fortune cookies have eggs in them. It's probably bad eggs in that batch.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Sure, it might have been bad eggs,
And
right?
sugar.
I don't know exactly what the problem was with this fortune cookie batch. I could never touch fortune cookies ever again. Still can't to this day. The thought of them kind of makes me uneasy or like nauseous.
Get that.
That one incident wrecked it for me. It might be that for you too. Might be how the one for you. You might have had a bad experience. Couldn't quite connect to.
Yeah, because it's as long as I can remember.
Right.
Yeah.
But then some people have a texture thing too. They don't like the texture. They don't like mashy foods. They want crunchy. They don't want gooey. They want crunchy, whatever, or the opposite.
Mhm.
Carbohydrate, vegetable. What sounds good with breakfast here? Sean? Kale. And there's 1,000 right answers here. So you can mix that in with the eggs. Actually paired with the eggs in it. What else, Megan? What else can we do with this?
Spinach.
Spinach. I love that you guys love green veggies. I have a ridiculous amount of spinach in my diet. And the filter here, by the way, is we should be choosing things you guys would enjoy eating. Like, if you don't like eggs, you shouldn't eat eggs, right? Like, don't force yourself to eat something you want to eat. We're all grown adults here, and no grown adult should be made to force themselves to eat something they hate. Like, that's not an enjoyable way to do healthy eating. Healthy eating should be enjoyed, not endured. Any other carbohydrate and vegetable you want to add to this mix, Derek?
Those are probably the only two I'd eat in the morning.
What's that?
Those two would probably be the only ones I would eat in the morning.
Cool.
Like-
Go to
like
me. I hope to throw some onions or peppers
Yeah.
in that mix. Maybe mushrooms. I don't know if you guys, any other fans of mushrooms here?
Yeah.
So right now, and really for a long time, I'm all about the, I have eggs, but I put salsa on top of it.
Yeah.
Nothing special either, like the Pace Picante sauce from Walmart. It costs like a few bucks, and it's tomato puree, and it got peppers in there. It's basically a vegetable mash, but the hot eggs with spinach and the sauce on top of it, the cold or the hot meat, that is awesome to me. I have the same breakfast every morning. I feel like eating like a king. I love it. I think it's amazing. So how would you do your eggs if you had breakfast because you were not intermittent fasting? Petro, how would you do your eggs?
I just make like a French omelet style, but I just like pour it in. I just whip it up, pour it in the pan, and then just flip. I don't know what you call that. You just flip one side over and then the other side over, and it's like a little egg roll, like.
Yeah,
thing, and that's, I don't know what you call it. It's not scrambled because it's one big piece, but
Yeah, I get it.
French omelet style, I guess.
I got it. Whole egg though, right?
Oh yeah. Like,
Silly question.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so like
Cooked in bacon grease.
cooked bacon. So if we put bacon on here too for you guys, right? So if you're opting for like whole egg or bacon, like it has the dietary fat that you need built in, right? Check that box. We'll talk about like portioning and how much to do shortly here. Like how do we optimize the outcomes from the food drug? How much of X, Y, and Z? Because how much of X, Y, and Z does matter. It does matter in what kind of response you get from the food, yes. But if you have like dietary fat here, it's like your ribeye steak? Is that the one you love? The ribeye. If you have the ribeye, it probably has the dietary fat you need built into it, so you don't have to add in more dietary fat. But if, for example, some people they don't like how they feel on a fattier piece of meat. Like gave up red meat for some reason, right? Like maybe for you, you'd feel better without it, right? And if that's the case, okay, cool. Maybe you prefer a leaner meat, right? So if I had only egg whites here, for example, there's really no fat in there at all. We got to add it in. So what kind of dietary fat could we use in the preparation of our breakfast here?
Coconut oil. Butter.
Coconut oil, for example. Yep. Coconut oil, etc. Olive oil, avocado oil, whatever. Bacon fat. Duck fat. Yep. Let's go to lunch. Let's go to lunch here. So, protein. Who was up? I'm gonna give this one to Derek. Derek, what kind of protein you like for lunch?
Do some fish.
Fish. Let's be more specific. What kind do you like? There's no wrong answer here.
Mix it up. Tilapia, salmon.
Yep.
Depends. What I'm
Tilapia.
feeling.
Do you like crappie?
Never really tried it.
Tilapia or salmon. Right on. Carbohydrate vegetable you would dig. Pedro.
I'm probably the wrong guy to talk to about this, but
You're so keto.
I am. The only time I'll eat vegetables is I like bacon wrapped asparagus, but I only eat that around dinner time.
Alright,
Asparagus
asparagus.
is a good choice for fish.
Yeah.
Asparagus. And two quick notes. I have never ever had anybody succeed or fail in achieving their goal. I've had anybody fail this way. I've had anybody fail their goals because they opted for canned veggies versus fresh or raw, or they opted for steamed versus roasted. I have never seen that be the deciding factor ever. And my belief is that that is not the deciding factor for anybody. Like, if you just happen to like the beautiful, amazing convenience of steamable bags of broccoli, go for it. Like, people will like wax poetic all day long about, well, if it gets to a certain temperature, you're losing these kinds of nutrients like that. Like, it doesn't matter. If you're having asparagus, broccoli, spinach, whatever, if you're having that as your carbohydrate source, compare that to like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It doesn't effing matter. It doesn't effing matter. The victory is won. The victory is won. So you can have your asparagus any way you like. Any
I
way
used to whip up some homemade Alfredo sauce and pour it over broccoli florets.
Cool, man.
That probably
Yeah.
sacrilege to you, but there's like no carbs in it, so.
All right. I'm not hating. What other kind of carbohydrate vegetable? What are you feeling, Sean?
Asparagus is a good choice, but we could also do like a little spinach salad.
Yep. Spinach. I have green beans with my breakfast every day, and some people are like shocked by that.
I love those. Out of the
Yeah.
can?
Yeah, I don't
They're so great.
Nothing special. They're so delicious. So my own bias is that you can have breakfast foods anytime you feel like it. You can have lunch foods anytime you feel like it. The important thing is that we did this, and then we're doing this, right? It doesn't matter what time of day you have green beans. But if I didn't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I did better. You know what I mean? If I stay away from lunch. All right, so this is just a starting point, right? There's 1,000 other answers here. You could also have, and a fan of carrots. I really love
Yeah.
raw carrots. Carrots. I mean, you can do so many things. Sweet potatoes. Any fans of sweet potatoes
Oh,
here?
yeah.
Love sweet potatoes.
It's my breakfast. Breakfast food.
Is it? That's such a good idea. I didn't think
Sweet
about that.
potatoes, hell yeah. Pro tip, at Walmart and Sam's Club, there is a brand of hash browns called Odell's.
Oh.
O-H-B-D-E-L-L-S. It's just potatoes. If you like to have some potatoes in the morning, that's a really easy and quick solution.
Have some.
Yep, they're great, right? There's no added sugar in that. So, that does count as a vegetable, by the way. That is a vegetable. What kind of dietary fats? If you had salmon, that's super lean, right? There's probably no dietary fat in your asparagus, your spinach, your carrots, your sweet potatoes. So, what could we use? Say, sweet potato, for example. What could we use to add some richness of flavor
Bacon.
to that? We can use bacon, sure. So,
The most keto answer ever.
I know, right? Identify the keto guy. You guys ever heard of ghee?
Yes. Clarified butter.
Yeah. So it's a relative of clarified butter. We have the hookup here at CrossFit Evansville because one of our 6 a.m. CrossFitters, Master Chef Josh Wadle, Executive Chef Josh Wadle, who runs the Westin in St. Louis, the Westin Hotel, all of their food operations. He makes fresh ghee for us here and sells it out of the fridge at the end of this hallway. And you can get a jar the size of my Yeti tumbler for $10.
It's an excellent price for ghee.
That is an amazing price for ghee. You will literally never beat that ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Never.
you get the same thing for $10 at a grocery store. That's like maybe
Yeah,
10
it's like
ounces.
tahini, right? Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This part of the tumbler,
Yeah.
it'll cost you like $10 to $18
Yeah.
for the ghee at Green Earth. Love Green Earth, support local and
I
all
worked
that.
there for 4 years.
Right. So it's a great thing, right? But this deal is killer. And I'll give you the gist. Who here has actually tried ghee before? All right. Anything that butter is good for, ghee is essentially the same thing.
Except for
Butter.
coffee.
What's that?
Except for coffee.
You don't
It does
like
not
coffee?
taste as good in coffee.
I believe you.
It has
Alright.
a higher.
I'm a like black coffee guy. Cold brew right here.
Butter coffee
Cold
all
brew.
day.
I
No.
didn't know people put butter in coffee, really?
Butter and
I've
coconut
tried.
oil.
It's
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
How do you have yours?
Tablespoon per cup.
Creamer.
Blend it up. It's really
Yeah?
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I was
terrible.
just like-
You need to try the
Full
ghee.
cream.
Probably.
I'll do like
Heavy
yeah.
cream,
I'll do like heavy.
You need
cream.
like a bowl.
I do
of
heavy
coffee.
cream and cold.
Really?
If it's hot
Yeah.
coffee,
Good?
I do butter. And
Oh, it's
coconut
great.
oil.
Yeah, it's Any of you guys done bulletproof coffee before?
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince our friend Derek to get on board with this.
Dude, it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good.
I've heard of it before.
It gives you the richness, right? 'Cause that's
Yeah.
people like the creamer because it gives that richness. So it's not just like the bitter of the black.
Is bulletproof coffee just butter in it?
And MCT oil, right?
MCT oil. It says MCT oil. It doesn't have to be MCT oil, but it usually is MCT oil.
You gotta be careful with the MCT oil. You'll poop yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you add too much.
Great.
And then there's they'll do like grass-fed organic butter, or
Yeah.
even better, ghee, and you mix that in. Sean disagrees. So,
It does not taste as good. I'm
Um,
telling you.
so like, but it's a kind of coffee. It's super popular with the paleo community. But it gives you that same experience of a richness in the coffee.
There's a
without
little
the-
sweetness from the butter too.
What's that?
There's like a little bit of sweetness from the butter too.
Yeah.
So if you like sweeten.
Well, if you're going with the butter that has lactose in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anything, by the way, science lesson, anything that ends in ose, pretty much count it as sugar. Dextrose, maltose, sucrose, galactose, lactose.
Isn't
Yes,
lactase the sugar in milk
it
and
could
butter?
be, yeah. So, the idea, though, is that if you see this suffix on something, it is probably a variation on sugar, which means that milk and cheese are actually sugar products also, and if you have a sugar demon on your shoulder, it tends to propagate, and it tends to feed that demon. Something you should all know about appetites is that appetites are never fully and finally satisfied, and as long as you keep feeding a sugar demon, it gets bigger, it gets meaner. If you have a sugar addiction, you feed it, it gets bigger, it gets meaner. And things with ose, make it get bigger, make it get meaner, until it's a raging monster that just like destroys your health. What's cool about ghee is that it's essentially dairy free. So all the good stuff about butter, so you can use it to soften and flavor your sweet potato, but without the downside of butter. And again, if your goal is to cut body fat, see more muscle definition, that'll get you there a little faster than butter or dairy products. So anyway, side note. All right, let's go to dinner. Who is up? Let's maybe go to Sean, maybe. Sean, what kind of protein would you have for dinner?
Going with ribeye.
Ribeye?
Make Pedro happy.
Yeah. And you guys, you can also choose your own. It doesn't have, be something that everybody agrees
I happen
on.
to have ribeye for dinner, so
Yeah.
I figured I'd go with that.
That's dinner. It's a good day for that.
Yes.
Well, I'll meet at Texas Roadhouse right after this. All right, so that's the starting point. What else could it be, Megan? What else could we have?
Turkey or chicken burger.
Turkey or chicken, yeah.
Bacon wrapped chicken nuggets.
Do you just bacon wrap everything?
I eat a lot of bacon.
Oh,
If you can't wrap it in bacon, it's not worth eating.
yeah. Have you guys heard that Jim Gaffigan skit about water chestnuts?
No.
Yeah.
I used to love water chestnuts.
Yeah, well, nobody knows what water chestnuts are except for the fact that it's
so much.
associated with
They're so
bacon.
awful. Yes, I can't eat them.
Really?
They're like your eggs for me. Like if I feel
Oh.
the texture of a water chestnut, like I'd start like vomiting.
Oh, they're so good.
Like stir fries, they were awesome.
Yeah.
You guys gotta look up the Jim Gaffigan skit on this. I won't do it justice. But he's talking about how like the only reason we even know about water chestnuts is because it's always in the same salad as like the bacon bits. Dear Bacon, thank you for the recognition. Signed, Water Chestnut the Third. It's so funny. I love Jim Gaffigan.
He's so great.
He is.
Oh man.
Is he the one that does the joke about the people at the gym that look really good? What are you doing here? You're done.
You're done. Why are you here? You're done. All right. Carbohydrate veggie.
Oh God.
Lots of options.
Yeah, I usually stick to either a sweet potato or asparagus for almost everything.
Okay. So it could be asparagus.
So good.
Well, anybody a fan of roasted Brussels sprouts?
Yes.
Brussels sprouts.
I'm gonna have those right after you get done here.
So some folks have a texture thing, right? And the reason they've never touched Brussels sprouts because it definitely looks some kind of way when it's just raw. It's gooey and slimy. It looks messy. If you've never tried having Brussels sprouts like baked or roasted in the oven, we just like fill the pan with them, drizzle them with olive oil, put some pink Himalayan sea salt on that mother, and then throw it in around 350 for a little while. When it comes out, it's crunchy.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Throw some bacon bits or even better.
Yeah, throw some bacon bits in there.
Wrap it in bacon.
Wrap it in bacon. Make Pedro happy. Yeah. So, it turns into like a crunchy tree, and if you're having that hankering or that craving, and you want to have some crunch to something, awesome option right there. Could be a sweet potato, etc. Any other ideas? Anything else we'd like to have with our ribeye?
I'm a broccoli fan.
Me too. I love broccoli. I love broccoli in all forms. Actually, I've eaten an insane amount of broccoli. We did the math on it. In the nutrition challenge right now, the topic came up because people see me have broccoli like for multiple meals a day. But I just love it. I love it.
What about cauliflower? What about a broccoli cauliflower medley with carrots in
You
there?
wanna put that here?
I used to eat that one a lot.
Sure.
Oddly enough, I hate cauliflower.
Really?
I have no idea why.
Have you tried cauliflower rice?
Yep, it's just as bad as regular cauliflower.
You know what's weird is that I feel the same about sweet potatoes.
Really?
I wish I liked them. I just can't get into it.
I'm really not picky at all, but water chestnuts and cauliflower, those are my two
Sure.
Achilles heels. I
Yeah.
just can't.
The good news, there's so many other options,
Yeah.
right?
If you made
yeah.
sweet potato fries and bacon grease, that's still keto, right?
Yeah. It's tough,
As long as you don't eat too many.
Yeah, you have to keep the. I mean, like with
I
potatoes,
don't eat them, but
it's
I know people
very
like
difficult
sweet
to
potato
have-
fries.
it's very difficult to have any sort of potato at all in a keto plan because you have to keep your carbs in a certain window,
Well, I was
and
just.
the potatoes get you out of that window
Yeah.
real fast.
Even the sweet potato.
Yeah.
It's also different with different people because I was just talking to someone here last night, and I can have up to about 80 grams of carbs in a day and
Mhm.
still remain in ketosis.
Right, and for
Whereas
others
some
they get
people, they have,
25 grams.
Yeah, it knocks them right out.
Right, so it depends on the person also.
Yeah.
So, do you know what your threshold is for ketosis, nutritional ketosis? How many grams of carbohydrate?
I don't have a ketone meter, so I got some strips and keyed on them, and I was turning them purple. Sorry if it's too much information. but-
You're
Well,
fine.
that's how they test it. So the real
I-
gold
I
standard
quit.
for this is probably a good educational lesson. So a lot of people are interested in keto now, and keto is a really big thing, and I love it because it's great. But the gold standard for testing for the presence of ketones is a blood test, right? However, that's not practical for most people. So the way that you would test to be in nutritional ketosis practically is to get like these ketone testing strips from Amazon. They're pee strips, and you pee on it. And if you have if it changes any kind of color whatsoever, you're at
Yeah.
0.5 or above, we assume there's presence of ketones, you're in ketosis, and what that means is that your body is using fats as the energy source instead of carbohydrates for the energy source, which means that your body is now switched over to using a higher octane energy source for fuel. That's really valuable. That's valuable for cutting body fat. That's valuable for focus and energy and a lot of other things. And some people would also maintain that ultimately it's a better energy source for performance, for CrossFit, because you get a lot more bang for your buck with dietary fat than you do with carbohydrate. Now, carbs have its place. We need them. We need all of these things, right? We can't phase it out. It's not like all or nothing. It's all carbs or no carbs. You got to have some. Even in a ketogenic diet, you have to have some. So you're not exactly sure what your carb number is, but you still you're in ketosis.
Super low.
Okay.
Like yesterday, I didn't eat any vegetables.
Okay. Did you have any carb at all? Did you have any like almonds, for example? Almonds.
Oh, I won't eat nuts.
No.
Linoleic acid in them. I won't eat that.
Okay. Never mind. You're missing out, by the way.
I love nuts. I love cashews. I love almonds or whatever, but I'm sticking to my plan because it's working for me. So.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right?
Yeah.
Let's add some dietary fats in here. Let's say we went with a chicken breast or a turkey breast or whatever, and it was a lean meat. What kind of dietary fats could we use?
Olive oil would be good, those Brussels sprouts.
Yep, olive oil and that preparation of Brussels sprouts is one way. If you are a fan of almonds, so a study was recently done, and what they did was, I think just for the sheer amusement of it, they're like, how did I phrase this? So you guys have the idea of like per capita GDP, right? Like the amount of production for any given one person in an area. They're looking at like nutritionally, which food has the greatest production of nutrients, right? Given the size, what is the best pound for pound food in the world? Most nutrients, smallest size, the biggest punch, the smallest package. Almonds, #1 food in the entire world. The most nutrients, tiny little package. Amazing. Kind of amazing. And pecans too. In my nutrition challenges, I have I talk about different themes and topics throughout the way, but pecans, I dedicate an entire day just to pecans because there's so many amazing benefits to pecans. Really, really, really valuable nutrition there. So another way of getting that crunch too, if you want to love something a little bit crunchy, you're feeding something crunchy is a good option there. So what we have done here is we have laid out a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner that if the goal was to cut body fat, feel great, have good energy, be lean, mean, and energetic, this would get you there. Any of you guys hungry? It's not about like anxiety, delicious.